Today I'm talking about one company that's been taking the biggest hit to its reputation, and that's Ford. A few months ago at a Florida dealership, there was a price tag on a new F-150 Lightning, and it was $140,600. But the manufacturer suggested retail price is less than $69,554. This means the markup was another $69,000, making the truck twice its original price. Later, a spokesman for Ford said that the dealer had accidentally inputted the price of the truck twice. The dealer then fixed the problem within 24 hours. Ford's spokesperson even argued the truck wasn't even for sale, but was only a demo car. Criticism of this dealership got so bad that they not only removed the Ford F-150 Lightning from the website, but they also shut down its Facebook page altogether. This particular markup may have been just a typographic error, but that doesn't mean there aren't any other crazy Ford markups in other dealerships. In fact, now some consumers aren't sure what to expect when they walk into a Ford dealership. There are so many crazy Ford markup stories, it's hard to pick just one. Here are a few of the craziest real-life ones you may or may not have heard of. First one involves another Florida dealership. It was selling a Lightning Platinum at $143,874. They listed the MSRP as $141,374 and listed $2,500 in upgrades. But here's the thing. The actual MSRP of the truck is $93,874. That means they marked it up 50 grand. Bad enough to mark up a car that much, but then to lie about the MSRP to deceive consumers is a whole other story. Talk about highway robbery. Funny enough, in the truck's description, they said there was no dealer fee and even offered to give you a free Carfax history report on a brand new truck. Another incident in yet another Ford dealership in Florida. Something's going on with Florida, I don't know. This one was offering an F-150 Lightning Pro trim at $140,600. And remember, its MSRP is $69,554. That's a $71,000 markup. But at least they didn't lie about it. The next story happened in Virginia, and it's one of my favorites. So a Ford dealership was offering buyers a special perk. Basically, they said if you want to be among the first 25 on the wait list for a brand new F-150 Lightning, you have to pay a $30,000 markup. All other orders would only have a $10,000 minimum market adjustment. On top of that, the dealership required an advance deposit of $5,000, which would go towards the purchase of the vehicle. And if that wasn't bad enough, the dealership stated that the deposit would be forfeited if the consumer later decided not to buy the truck. But that dealership wasn't an isolated case. Other buyers reported, too, that their local dealerships were adding a $30,000 markup to the Lightning due to overwhelming demand. And if they don't want to pay the markup, the dealership just moved down the wait list to someone else who was willing to pay. When Ford launched the new 2021 Ford Bronco, they allowed consumers to pre-order. Believe it or not, so 190,000 people across the U.S. plopped down an advance deposit. Anyway, when many came on sale, they were marked up big time. You see, there were two factors in play: supply and demands. Economics 101 all over again. And we are a capitalist society after all. So, first, there was so much hoopla around the Bronco, but then combine that with the fact that dealers were having a hard time getting inventory. Many Broncos across the U.S. have the same two words on the price tag: either dealer markup or the more inconspicuous price adjustment or market adjustment. But we're not talking about a fair price adjustment. 2021 Bronco Wildtrak has an MSRP of $53,755, but a dealership in New York listed the Wildtrak for $83,755. That's a jump of 30 grand. Another dealership in Oklahoma listed a 2021 Ford Bronco Wildtrak 4-door, which should have been priced at $58,150, but instead was marked up to $78,150. A dealership in Missouri was offering a 2-door Wildtrak with a high equipment package at $76,945. That's a $25,000 markup. And these are only 3 examples. Ford heard about the price gouging and the scalping, and they didn't take it lightly. They wanted dealers not to raise prices beyond MSRP for the Lightning. Not only is egregious markups morally wrong, but it also doesn't make the company look good as a brand. But Ford, or any car maker for that matter, can't really do anything against unfair and anti-consumer markups. And that's why it's the Wild West for consumers when you buy a new car at a dealership. Here's the thing about dealer markups. Car makers set an MSRP, or the manufacturer's suggested retail price, for each model. But that price is only a suggestion, not a requirement. Usually, in a normal market, most dealers try to stick close to the MSRP because they want to stay competitive. And the output of new models of popular cars can bring a surge in demand. So dealerships have been rolling in the cash in this prime market because they've been able to add huge markups, thousands of dollars on top of the MSRP, in fact. The thing is, in the U.S., car makers are required by law to sell through third-party dealerships that are their own independent businesses. Car makers can't sell directly to consumers on their own. own, like how Apple has its own Apple stores to sell their products directly. That's why car makers are limited in how much they can do when it comes to dealer markups. Ford did what it can within its own realm. For one, it warned dealers against adding extra fees or deposits to reservation holders. Basically, they told dealers not to threaten customers by withholding their opportunity to convert reservations to orders. In fact, Ford announced that any dealer caught charging extra fees or deposits would lose their Ford F-150 Lightning allocation for the rest of the year. I'd say that's a good thing. Let's talk about car flipping and scalping. Ford didn't want that to happen with Lightning, and the concerns are legitimate. Take a look at a famous case a few years back. That's when Ford sued a big celebrity for violating no resale agreement on his Ford GT. The celebrity was pro wrestler and actor John Cena. So back in 2017, John Cena was selected from a list of applicants and granted the right to purchase a limited production GT. That was because first, he was a celebrity, and second, he had a YouTube series called John Cena Auto Geek, on which he could promote the vehicle. And Cena did end up featuring the car in a series. But after he bought the 2017 Ford GT supercar for $450,000 plus, he quickly resold it, and that violated an anti-flipping clause in the Ford GT's purchase contract. That landed him in serious legal hot water. This contract had specifically said that any buyer could not resell the new Ford GT for 2 full years, but John Cena had resold it in less than 1 month, and so Ford sued him. In a lawsuit, Ford stated they directly reached out to John Cena after they heard he sold his Ford GT, and they said that John Cena then apologized and admitted he sold the Ford GT to liquidate for cash to take care of expenses. Ford then tried to facilitate a buyback of the vehicle at the price John Cena purchased it for and to discuss the profit he received from the unauthorized sale. Despite Ford's efforts, John Cena still didn't make things right. Just how much did John Cena make in profit? Well, the exact number wasn't revealed, but the lawsuit did specify that the profit exceeded $75,000. So flipping and scalping isn't anything new, but Ford didn't want it to happen with the F-150 Lightning electric pickup. That's why Ford wanted dealers to add a no-sale provision to buyer contracts, where buyers agree not to sell, offer to sell, or transfer ownership for 1 full year. This would prevent new owners from flipping the truck for a quick buck. Now, you'd think that's a good thing, but some people complain that Ford doesn't have a right to tell anyone what they do with their property, and they have a point. But here's another thing. So the no-sale clause in the contract isn't mandatory. Ford only suggested it to dealerships. But at the end of the day, the agreement is between the dealer and the buyer. Evidently, some states won't even allow it. Ford said they will support dealers who chose to add this clause. Well, it wasn't clear exactly what Ford meant by support, but you can probably take a wild guess. Ford really wanted to make things right with the F-150 Lightning. That's because the Ford's F-Series has been the best-selling vehicle in the U.S. for years. Believe it or not, at one point, Ford even resorted to assembling thousands of F-150 pickups without crucial microchips. Then they stored them in parking lots until the chips could be sourced and installed. Normally, buying a used car is more cost-effective for your wallet. But up until recently, some used car models were selling for thousands of dollars more than their brand-new counterparts, especially since last year. And so it's been the worst time to buy a car in American history. But the used car market has seemed to reach its peak. But let me clarify one thing. Just because some new cars have been cheaper than their used car counterparts doesn't mean that new cars are cheap. It's actually the opposite. New car prices continue to reach all new record highs. Just a couple months ago, one report found that the estimated average retail price of a new car sold that month was almost $46,300. That was an 11.5% increase from exactly 1 year before, and that was the highest increase on record. Now, if you think that's bad, that's not the worst part. Other estimates that looked at different data found that the average new car purchased on July 2022 sold for almost $48,200, and that's another record high. So, why are new car prices continuing at such a rapid rate? Dealerships are on target to profit more than $5,000 for every new car they sell. That's on average 126% more profit on each car compared to the normal market conditions. But that's not all. Monthly loan payments are also at all-time record highs. This past July, the average monthly payment for a new car exceeds $716. Compare that to August of last year, that's a 12.2% increase. Now, if you've been putting off buying a used car because of abnormally high prices, as I mentioned, there's some good news. The market for used vehicles is slowly but surely becoming more affordable. A recent report found that there's a better chance of paying a little less for a used vehicle now and in coming months compared to a few months ago. In fact, average prices for used cars across the board actually fell for 4 months in a row. Analysts predict this trend will continue this month and into the next few months too. It'll be a steady decrease, but don't expect earth-shattering price drops. These price drops aren't just for gas-powered vehicles, though. They're seeing it across the board, even with electric and hybrids, too. The reason is because since August 2022, gas prices have been steadily declining, and experts expect this trend to continue steadily, with the possibility of growing again this winter. But here's the thing. When gas prices were at their record highs earlier this year, consumers flocked to used EVs and hybrids. But now, fuel costs are down, and so is the number of people buying used electric or hybrid vehicles. In recent months, used EV prices declined by a dramatic 4%. Used hybrid prices also fell by 3% down. Lately, Tesla's prices are starting to show signs of softening. But some car brands have continued to firmly hold their prices high. It's mainly the foreign brands. On average, foreign brands are priced 44% or $8,100 more than projected normal levels. If you're wondering what foreign car brand has the highest price premium, well, that goes to Volkswagen. Used Volkswagens have the highest price premium compared to all other foreign brands. Used Volkswagen prices averaged $9,300 more than their normal pricing levels. That's a jaw-dropping 57% increase. Yes, there's a bright side of prices easing down slowly, but that doesn't change the fact that both new and used car prices are still sky high. Well, if you're looking for lower car prices, experts say that you should wait till next year. Let's say you absolutely positively need a new car before next year. Well, here's some tips on how to best approach it. One of your best bets is to really do your research on the car you like, and you should search for other similar vehicles that have recently sold in your area. Knowing the going price in your area helps. You want to step in a dealership feeling confident that you can get the best deal possible. The more research you do, the more likely it'll happen. You can find free tools to do your solid research on car websites like Cars.com, YAA, or Car Gurus, to name a few. This way you have a reference point, push back if a clever car dealer tries to convince you otherwise. So do research on what other local dealerships are offering in comparison. Keep in mind that we're still seeing high inflation. That's why getting a new car is pretty much a luxury these days. So if you must buy a car now, come to the dealership with financing or cash in hand. It's well known that dealerships make tons of profits if they not only sell you the car, but if they also get you to finance it by getting a loan on their premises. But if you come to the dealership with financing from your local bank or even cash, you'll have way more leverage to negotiate the price of the car down. So how do you find a loan in your local area if you have to borrow? Well, first, you can check your bank or credit union. But don't just settle with them. Shop online too. There are many other lenders out there with interest rates and repayment terms that might be better. If you have good to excellent credit, it'll work in your favor. Lenders usually provide lower interest rates on loans if you have a good credit score. Also consider personal loans versus a car loan and see which one works best for you in your specific situation. If you're saving up cash right now to get a car in the future, consider saving it in a high-yield savings account rather than a standard one. This typical type of account gives you an APY that's higher than average. You might as well have your city money grow a tad more. There's another helpful tip. Focus on the top vehicle feature you want, not a specific car brand or model. Let me explain why this is advantageous to you. Well, try making a list and writing down the top non-negotiable features you want. Things like how old the car you're willing to buy or how many miles it should have. Must it need to have a sunroof? Heated steering wheel? Prioritize your must-have features and then look for cars that meet those requirements as well as your budget requirement. At the end of the day, that'll give you far more car options to consider for your budget. Also, the wisest shopping approach is to select the car trim and feature package that's in your budget before you walk in the dealership. And be flexible and open-minded about scaling things down. For example, don't be dead set on one particular color for your car. Remember, too, EV infrastructure needs to grow also. So if you're an early tech adopter, you get the boasting rights and coolness factor, but you'll also be a guinea pig. Your choice, really. Personally, I'm more practical and conservative and would rather wait until the technology and infrastructure irons itself out. But now you tell me, what kind of crazy markups on car prices have you seen at dealerships where you live? Please share your experience by commenting below. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for your support.